Hello, friends. Welcome into this special edition of College Football Daily. I am Tom Downey. Follow me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney for more football coverage. Ohio State quarterback Joe Burrow is going to transfer from the program. He announced that today on Twitter. Now, he is the unusual graduate transfer with 2 years of eligibility left. The former four-star quarterback prospect will be a pretty coveted graduate transfer at the quarterback position. There are quite a few notable programs that are in need of a starting quarterback, and Burrow will have plenty of options to pick from as to where he wants to transfer to. He was battling for the Ohio State quarterback job alongside Dwayne Haskins. Of course, with Burrow's transfer, it's very obvious that Haskins will be the starter. Burrow, in all likelihood, saw the writing on the wall that Haskins would be the starter for Ohio State. He's played some backup time for Ohio State, was the backup before Haskins came into Ohio State and was eligible and didn't redshirt his first year. So Burrow brings some talent there, a former four-star quarterback. Quarterback play, as we know, really matters in football. There are going to be quite a few teams that have massive interest in signing and adding Joe Burrow. We're going to take a look at the top 5 here, but first we're going to take a look at some of the teams that didn't quite crack our top 5, other options that for some various reasons aren't in the top 5. We start with the Texas Longhorns. Now, Tom Herman recruited Burrow to Ohio State, but they've got Shane Buechele, they've got Sam Ehlinger. I don't think they really need another quarterback into that battle. As for Iowa State, they do have Kyle Kemp returning for his senior year, but it's worth noting that Burrow, before he went to Ohio State, was expected to join the Iowa State Cyclones, so there's some familiarity there, plus his dad was a coach there for 8 years. Kentucky could be your dark horse here for Burrow. They lost Steven Johnson. They have some players at quarterback, but none of them have the pedigree or the raw talent that Burrow does, and it wouldn't be that far removed either. Cincinnati and Ohio are the two non-Power 5 programs to watch here. UC has the connection with Luke Fickell, but they like Hayden Moore. He's their starting quarterback. Plus, Burrow could probably end up at a better spot than UC. Ohio, if Burrow does not go to a Power 5 program, the Ohio Bobcats make quite a bit of sense. First off, Burrow is from Athens, and his dad is the defensive coordinator there. So if he wants to go to a non-Power 5 school, a Group of 5 school, watch out for the Ohio Bobcats. On to the top 5 options here. First up, we'll discuss is Nebraska. Now, Adrian Martinez is kind of the hope around the Nebraska program right now because of what he's shown in the spring after enrolling early. He was a Tennessee commit and then flipped. It's also worth mentioning for Burrow that his dad, Jimmy, and brothers, Jamie and Dan, all played at Nebraska, so he can go join the rest of the family with the ties to Nebraska there. The question is whether or not Nebraska wants to give the job to Martinez or bring in Burrow for 2 years and then hand the reins over to Martinez. Tristan Gabbia is a former four-star recruit as well, but he seems to be a little bit behind Martinez right now, who has shown some real promise in the spring after Patrick O'Brien transferred out of the program. On to maybe the team with perhaps the biggest need at quarterback in all of college football, at least among major programs. That's LSU, and it's just not in great shape. Miles Brennan right now is kind of the front runner. He was the backup last year behind Danny Etling, who is really not all that great. Justin McMillan is a redshirt junior, former 3-star recruit, didn't play in 2017. And then Lowell Narcisse is maybe the sleeper here, a former 4-star recruit, number 261 overall. But it looks like Brennan is the front runner. But Joe Burrow, you would imagine, would be the starter for LSU. He has some big game experience in terms of the level of competition he played for Ohio State, although all his time, of course, was in garbage time. If Burrow went to LSU, I think he would be your starter over guys like Brennan, McMillan, and Lowell. Another SEC program checks up next year. That is Florida. Now, they brought in Emory Jones, who also a former Ohio State commit and then flipped. Kyle Trask didn't play in 2017. He right now is pushing Felipe Franks for the job, and Franks, in his first year as a true freshman, didn't do all that well. He and Malik Zaire and Luke Del Rio all kind of flipped time there. Franks might not be the option. Jones might be a little bit too raw. Burrow could come in. Again, Dan Mullen, the Urban Meyer connection there. Could be a good fit. I think would play right away for Florida. Now, Dan Mullen did say he wasn't looking at the transfer market right now. He said he didn't think he was going to take one. That was before Burrow announced his transfer intentions. If I'm Florida, I'm making a play for Burrow without a doubt. On to some other maybe lesser options here. UCLA. Now, they were going to land Washington transfer K.J. Carter-Samuels. He decides to go to Wyoming instead. They pick up Wilton Spate. I still think they're in the market for some quarterback help there. Devin Monster played a little bit, namely in the bowl game. Spate might not be the ideal fit for the Chip Kelly offense based on what he ran at Oregon. Burrow would fit better in that type of offense there. Don't rule out Dorian Thompson-Robinson either. 4-star recruit, a true freshman, number 36 overall, hasn't enrolled yet. I don't think UCLA is the front runner, but they are a team just to monitor as Joe Burrow looks for his next home in college football. One final team we'll make note of is Oklahoma State. Now, I almost put Kentucky in here. They're my dark horse. So I went with the Cowboys, though, instead. Taylor Cornelius has the most experience. He is a senior and still didn't do a whole lot last year for the Cowboys. You got Keandre Woodsie, who has barely played. John Kolar didn't play at all last year, though he was a pretty highly touted recruit a couple of years ago, a 4-star recruit in the top 300. Spencer Sanders is the true freshman this year, 4 stars. He's number 171 overall. He could make a play once he gets on campus. The Cowboys also have their own grad transfer already. That's Drew Brown, who comes over from Hawaii, put up 18 TDs, 8 interceptions, and just under 2,800 yards. So all those guys will compete. Kind of seems like Cornelius is the front runner. But if Joe Burrow comes to Oklahoma State, Coach Mike Gundy, and says, hey, I want to transfer and be your starter, I kind of get the vibe he'd say, yeah, let's go ahead and sign you up here and get you down here in Stillwater. So to recap the top 5 options then for Joe Burrow: Nebraska, LSU, Florida, UCLA, and Oklahoma State. If I was a bet man, I'd put my money on one of those first 3 teams, Nebraska, LSU, or Florida, but we'll see what Joe Burrow ends up doing. All right, folks, I'm Tom Downey. Follow me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney and subscribe to the channel for more updates throughout the offseason and preseason in both college football and the NFL. Until then, we'll see you next time.